what is up guys, AA Lightning here, back with another video, and with season 2 of Jujutsu Kaisen coming out, I thought it would be a good idea to give a recap of season 1 of Jujutsu Kaisen. So starting off, Yuji Itadori eats a finger to save Megumi Fushiguro from a cursed spirit. He now shares the body with the King of Curses, Ryomen Sukuna. Now, I know everyone knows this part, so I'm just going over it pretty quickly. The higher-ups are eager to kill Yuji because of the danger he poses to the Jujutsu Society. However, they're halted by Satoru Gojo, who suggests that they should execute Yuji once he consumes all 20 fingers of Sukuna. Yuji agrees to this and ends up consuming one more Sukuna finger before he goes to training. Gojo enrolls Yuji as part of the first years, introducing us to our trio of Nobara, Megumi, and Yuji. Gojo then takes Yuji and Nobara to a detention center to see how they fare in a combat. Yuji and Nobara quickly dispose of the curse and continue on. Sometime later, the trio gets a mission at a detention center. The trio then encounters a special great curse spirit and is faced with a do or die situation. Out of options, Yuji tells Megumi to run and save Nobara, and he will switch with Sukuna to deal with the cursed spirit. Sukuna obliterates the cursed spirit by casting the domain expansion technique, Malevolent Shrine, instantly killing it. However, once the fight concludes, Yuji is unable to regain control over his body, giving Sukuna free reign. Sukuna takes Yuji's body hostage by removing his heart. After a confrontation with Megumi, Yuji switches bodies with Sukuna, saving Megumi but killing himself in the process. Back at the hospital, Gojo is furious that the higher-ups that the first years were given such a dangerous mission and thinks that he should just kill all the higher-ups himself. Just as Gojo begins ranting, Yuji is brought back to life because of a binding vow that was forced upon him by Sukuna. Gojo is surprised by this and tells Shoko not to tell anyone that Yuji has come back to life so that he isn't targeted. We now flash forward to the villains led by Suguru Geto, a special grade sorcerer. Geto has a conversation with one of the disaster spirits. By the way, there's 4 disaster spirits: Jogo, Hanami, Dagon, and Mahito. And Geto has a conversation with one of the disaster spirits, Jogo, about their plan to seal Satoru Gojo in the present realm. Jogo is almost offended by this and says that he can kill Gojo by himself. Jogo then decides to confront Gojo for a 1v1, but gets disciplined immediately by her favorite sensei, Satoru Gojo. Hanami, another disaster spirit, is forced to save Jogo by distracting Gojo just long enough for them to escape. We are then introduced to Aoi Todo and Mai Zenin, third-year students at Kyoto High, who confront Megumi and Nobara. However, the second-year students Panda, Inumaki, and Maki come to the assistance of Nobara and Megumi. Apologies. Gojo introduces Itadori to Nanami so that Nanami can train Yuji. Nanami and Yuji investigate the deaths of 3 high schoolers at a movie theater and realize that they were killed by a dangerous cursed spirit who, well, quick flash forward, happens to be Mahito. In a flash forward, we meet Junpei, who witnessed Mahito kill the high schoolers, and basically these high schoolers were people that bullied Junpei. So, Junpei kind of likes this, it's like they deserve to die because Junpei was bullied as a child. But basically, Junpei saw Mahito kill the high schoolers, meaning that he can use cursed energy. So Junpei, who witnessed Mahito kill the high schoolers, wants to be trained by Mahito. Mahito takes Junpei under his wing, sort of, and teaches him his ways. Nanami and Yuji encounter cursed spirits, where Yuji shows off an impressive feat, kind of a cursed technique, Divergent Fist. Nanami deduces that the cursed spirits they were actually fighting were in fact humans that were transfigured by Mahito. Nanami decides to go after Mahito while Yuji ends up meeting Junpei. Yuji and Junpei quickly befriend each other, and Junpei invites him to his house after a quick discussion of cinema. Nanami meets Mahito in the sewers, and they have an intense battle in which Nanami barely wins. Overnight, Junpei's mom, R.I.P. to Junpei's mom, everybody, ends up dying because one of Sukuna's fingers, which was planted by Geto, attracts curses into the house. Junpei believes that one of his bullies did this and decides to confront them. Yup, Junpei, tough guy. But Yuji says, no, you gotta join the good sides. And Yuji doesn't allow Junpei to do this and tries to convince him to join Jujutsu High. Just as words seem to be having an effect, Mahito says, hey, nothing happening here, and turns Junpei into a transfigured human. He's just a toy. Yuji's extremely angry and starts throwing hands at Mahito, but Mahito, he easily maneuvered them and says, hold up, let me touch your soul, and uses idle transfiguration on Yuji. But Mahito is stunned immediately when Sukuna intervenes and tells Mahito never to touch his soul again. Nanami joins the fight, and Yuji and Nanami hit Mahito with a wombo combo attack. In a near-death situation, Mahito casts his domain expansion, self-embodiment of perfection, and Yuji then breaks the domain from the outside because a domain expansion is weak from attacks of the outside. So Yuji, who was not caught inside the domain, which was actually an intentional move by Mahito, because the domain expansion has a sure hit. Well, his domain expansion has a sure hit effect that immediately will touch the soul of the person who gets trapped in the domain. So if Yuji gets trapped in the domain and he touches his soul, Sukuna's not going to be too happy. So Yuji breaks into the domain expansion, and the sure hit activates, touching Sukuna's soul. And Sukuna's not very happy about it, so he hits. He basically hits. What's his name? Mahito with the slash, and Mahito barely escapes. Now, after witnessing what Sukuna's true powers are, Mahito basically says, hey, we have to go with Suguru Geto's plan, and we need to steal all the fingers from the Jujutsu High School, and my apologies, and feed them to Sukuna so that he joins our side. So now we're going to go into one of the biggest arcs of the story, the Kyoto Goodwill event. Now, if you guys have watched this, I'm pretty sure you remember it. It was basically the Kyoto versus the Tokyo High, and I'm not going to really go over the specifics except the most important part. So the success of stealing the mission of stealing the fingers from the villains was successful. They basically used Hanami as a decoy to lure the other people, to lure the Jujutsu High teachers, and in specific Gojo Satoru, away from Mahito so that Mahito could steal the fingers. And it works. Gojo Satoru gets lured away and ends up casting purple that almost kills our favorite villain, Hanami. However, there are some fairly important things to notice in the Kyoto Goodwill event, like Yuji's development. He gets a lot stronger in this event. Megumi also gets a lot stronger, as well as Panda and Mekamaru. We see a lot of abilities. So if you guys have not watched the show, please go back and watch the Kyoto Goodwill event. If you have, then I'm sure you remember a lot of these fights. But basically, the whole plan of the Kyoto Goodwill event for the villains was to send Hanami as a decoy and have the teachers go after Hanami, and so that they would be forced to protect their students, so that Mahito could sneak into the school and steal the fingers, and that plan was successfully achieved. Now later on, we now are introduced to the death paintings, who, one second, I'm forgetting their name, Choso, Eso, and Ketchizu. And basically, Eso and Ketchizu are confronted by Yuji and Nobara, who throw hands at them and beat them up with pretty easily. And Megumi Fushiguro is once again encounters another special grade finger bearer. So this is the same one that he witnessed in the detention center, and in a do or die situation, he decides to cast his domain expansion, which is incomplete Chimera Shadow Garden. I forgot what it was called exactly. I think that's what it's called. But yeah, he casts his domain expansion and ends up beating the finger bearer. So two of the death paintings are dead, and one of and the finger bearer is now dead. So they now achieve another Sukuna finger, which Sukuna ends up eating. And Megumi didn't want that, but Gojo wanted that, so I guess that's good. So the show ends off with Gojo and Udahime on a call. Well, season 1 ends off with Gojo and Udahime on a call discussing who the traitor could have been, and given the information to the disaster spirits on where and when the Tokyo event would have been, the Kyoto Goodwill event would have been taking place, and that's where season 2 leaves off on. So season 2 starts with a flashback of Gojo, and then we go into the Shibuya incident arc, which is the present day. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, drop a like and sub. And this is my first time doing this kind of narration thing, so it's kind of a little bit shaky, but yeah. Hope you guys enjoy. Thank you.